The San Marino Grand Prix has once again highlighted the ever-evolving dynamics within MotoGP, with Luca Marini drawing praise from Honda after showcasing strengths in an area that has historically exposed Marc Marquez's vulnerabilities. Marini, riding for the Honda HRC Castrol squad, admitted that the Japanese manufacturer was, quite impressed with his performance at Misano's notorious Turn 11, Curvone, a right-hand corner where many riders struggle to balance aggression with stability. The corner, taken at blistering speed without braking, requires riders to lean deep while applying throttle, pushing both bike and rider to their physical and mental limits.
Welcome to GP Time. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates.
For years, Marquez's dominance in MotoGP has been undeniable, yet one weakness often stood out: the imbalance in performance between left and right-hand corners. Turn 11 at Misano became one of the most symbolic examples of that challenge. Marini, however, has shown he can excel in this exact scenario, catching the eyes of Honda engineers who compared his data against Marquez's historic struggles. Turn 11. "I was going at a high speed in the corner, faster than the other riders, of course," Marini explained, and Honda was quite impressed as well. Also because before they always struggled with Marc every year, then they saw my data and said, good job, because it's difficult there. Marini revealed that he has always felt comfortable in fast right-hand corners, dating back to his Moto2 career. He described Curvone as intimidating but insisted that the key to success there is accepting the bike's instability as normal. "It's intimidating, but it depends on how you feel," he said. "It's normal to go in really fast, lose the front, and every lap happens the same way. Since Moto2, you just have to trust the bike. Enter, close the front, then open the throttle, and everything is fine. That's how I've always ridden." For Honda, Marini's performance represents a beacon of hope during a challenging transition period. The manufacturer has been under heavy scrutiny since Marquez's departure, struggling to find consistency and adapt to MotoGP's evolving landscape. Having a rider who not only adapts but also shines in areas where even Marquez once faltered is a boost to morale and development. This revelation also adds another layer to the Marquez-Honda narrative. While Marc's brilliance often masked the RC213V's weaknesses, his struggles in specific scenarios now stand in stark contrast to Marini's adaptability. For Marini, proving he can handle the very corners that troubled one of MotoGP's greatest riders is both a personal and professional statement. The 2025 San Marino Grand Prix at Misano was more than just another MotoGP race. It was a theater of passion, rivalry, and defiance that underscored the emotional chasm still dividing Italian motorsport culture. Marc Marquez's breathtaking comeback from a sprint race crash to a full race triumph should have been celebrated universally as a masterclass in resilience. Instead, it ignited fury, revealing a fractured fan base where the shadow of Valentino Rossi looms as large as ever. Marquez's mistake in the sprint race at turn 15, where he crashed out of the lead, was met not with empathy but with unrestrained jubilation from the stands. Rossi's legions of tifosi, dressed in their signature fluorescent yellow, cheered his downfall as though it were a championship win of their own. The spectacle was jarring, a world-class rider risking life and limb on the track, only to be mocked by thousands who saw his misfortune as justice served for past sins. The bitterness traces back to 2015, when Marquez's infamous clash with Rossi and Sepang splintered MotoGP fandom. A decade later, time has not healed those wounds. Misano, Rossi's spiritual home, became the epicenter of that unresolved conflict, with Marquez once again cast as the villain on enemy turf. For Ducati, Marquez's victory was both a triumph and a public relations nightmare. Davide Tardozzi, the team principal, voiced his disapproval of the crowd's conduct, labeling it as, well, truly disheartening. His words carried a lot of weight. MotoGP is a dangerous sport where respect for all riders should really be a universal value. Yet, as Tardozzi acknowledged indirectly, the Rossi-Marquez rivalry just transcends normal sports boundaries, morphing into something deeply cultural, emotional, and honestly tribal. Ducati CEO Claudio Domenicali tried to downplay the hostility, suggesting that Italian fans are, gradually warming to Marquez. "I saw many people very happy to be with him," he insisted, framing the narrative as one of slow reconciliation. But the chorus of boos and whistles during Marquez's podium ceremony painted a far less forgiving picture. Ducati's strategy to market Marquez as the new face of Italian racing glory remains an uphill battle. If the fans expected Marquez to bow under the pressure, they really underestimated his mastery of psychological warfare. After a fierce duel with local hero Marco Bezzecchi, Marquez stormed to victory and then unleashed a symbolic celebration straight from the playbook of football icon Lionel Messi. Pulling his leathers like a jersey, Marquez held them aloft in front of the hostile Misano crowd, defiantly staking his claim. The gesture was more than just a victory lap. It was a statement of dominance, a reminder that boos and jeers only add fuel to his competitive fire. Where others might crumble under such hostility, Marquez thrives. He's made a career out of turning adversity into ammunition, converting every insult into motivation. It ignited a fire inside me, Marquez later admitted. When they shout against me, I only want to push harder. For me, it is fuel. This mental fortitude is precisely what has made Marquez one of the most polarizing yet formidable figures in the sport. The scene at Misano reflects not just a clash of personalities, but a cultural fault line. Rossi, the beloved Italian icon, built an empire of fan loyalty that just transcends generations. To his followers, Marquez isn't just a rival, but the usurper who, in their eyes, tarnished their hero's twilight years. For Ducati and much of the MotoGP establishment, though, Marquez is the present and the future, the rider capable of carrying the mantle of dominance in the post-Rossi era. This tug-of-war between nostalgia and progression creates a pretty volatile atmosphere wherever Marquez races in Italy. Misano is the emotional ground zero, where Rossi's legacy and Marquez's ambition collide in the most visceral fashion. Caught between loyalty to its rider and sensitivity to the Italian fan base, Ducati walks a real tightrope. On one hand, Marquez's results speak for themselves. He's bringing victories, headlines, and global attention. On the other, Ducati risks alienating a segment of their home supporters who remain firmly entrenched in Rossi's camp. The internal narrative management is telling. Tardosi emphasizes respect and sportsmanship. Domenicali stresses optimism and fan acceptance. Marquez, however, plays his own game using provocation and defiance as part of his arsenal. It's a balancing act with no easy resolution. As the dust settles on Misano, one truth emerges with clarity. Reconciliation between Rossi loyalists and Marquez supporters may never happen. The scars of 2015 are just too deep, the identities too entrenched, the emotions too raw. But honestly, that very hostility is what ensures MotoGP remains a sport of unrivaled passion and drama. For Marquez, each victory in hostile territory is more than a triumph. It's a declaration. He doesn't just race against rivals on the track. He races against the ghosts of history, against a sea of boos, against the legacy of Valentino Rossi himself. And if Misano proved anything, it's this. Marc Marquez is not here to be loved, he is here to win.